Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Captain CA here, and what are we going to talk about today? Today we're moving in the spring and it will be summer before we know it, so we're going to be using a lot of those power fishing techniques, search baits, and one of my biggest tools for that is Z-Man's Redfish Eye jig heads. That's right. Why do I prefer them over the others? I'm about to share that with you inside the shop right now, so let's go. Why the Redfish Eye jig head? Well, if I were to break the specs down for you, I like the fact that this time of year I'll fish mostly 4 and 5 and sometimes even 6-inch long plastics. Coming out of the winter and the transition, now we're getting where the water temps in my area are well within the range that fish are going to be feeding on bigger prey. So 4, 5, and 6-inch soft baits are kind of a standard for me. In fact, the 4-inch baits probably most of the time, and I've got one right here which I favor, and this is, if you will, this is the Z-Man 4-inch Mullitron. I've got it on an 1/8 ounce Redfish Eye. And I throw this around a lot because the total weight, if I go over there to the scale, because I've got a scale, if I go put it on the scale, will be close to about a 1/2 ounce, which is perfect for this setup. 7'3" medium heavy action rod. Most of you guys are using stuff like that. I've got 10-pound braid and I've got a long fluoro leader on here. And I just make long cast downwind and cover tons of water doing this. I also do it with diesel minnows. If I'm over a little bit more what I would call hard bottom, sandy bottom, where I'm bouncing more, I might even use a 5-inch jerk shad. And then if I want to swim it like directly along the bottom, lots of times I'll even use my Z-Man kicker crabs with this same head. So why this head? You can see the picture here that's a little bit better because it's closer. Why this head? Well, for one, it has a 30-degree line tie. To me, most of the water that I'm fishing in the spring is 18 inches up to about 3 feet. That's what I'm fishing the most. So 1.5 to 3 feet of water. If I'm using, let's just say, a jig that has a 90-degree line tie, okay, like this one, it's going to pull this way, so it's going to catch a lot of that grass. I'm not talking about floating grass that the line could bring down to the jig. I'm talking about just grass that's suspended or grass attached to the bottom. So this is more of a digging type jig head, a 90-degree jig head. If I use such, let's see, what else I got here? I got a trout eye here. This is the trout eye, little shorter shank, and I'm just giving you for line attachment angle. This is a 60-degree, okay? 60-degree angle is still gonna pull a little head down when I'm pulling it through the water because I'm making long casts, so the bait's still gonna dig a little, not as much. It's a good, what I would call, compromise, especially if I'm fishing more like 2 foot to 4 foot of water. I might want to choose one of these jig heads. But for most of my shallow water stuff, especially making long casts with spinning gear, I would rather have the 30-degree jig head, and you can take a better look at this one right here. Okay, that 30-degree angle pulls straighter, flatter in that shallower water, moves through the grass much better, especially if you're going with the grain of the grass. And that means if the grass is laid over this way, okay, and you're pulling it with it, it like almost never gets hung up. You can just swim, 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 cover tons of water. And it does a good job with all those types of 4 and 5 and 6 inch soft plastics. Now, Z-Man's gone to the trouble of building these things with some killer looking 3D eyes. And they've got these long, conical, sharp keepers that are perfect for that TPE Elastec type plastic. This is a 4/0 hook, lots of bite. And in those longer tails that I'm using this time of year, I like that longer shank. So the way they have these things set up, they're perfect for those of us that want to search bait fish. And this bean style head that they've developed with Ralph over there at the Trout Eye place, it makes for a good roll. What I'm finding with that 30-degree angle and this thin head, my lures, it's just not the paddle tail that swims. The whole bait kind of rolls. So it has that rolling and that tail just going. And when you've got all that body roll and that tail swimming and you're covering, your fish are noticing that bait from sometimes in clear water, maybe 8, 10 feet away, maybe even further. Because if it's got any glitter in the bait, it's gonna show out nice. If it's a little dirtier or lower light or more wind, if you've got a darker color bait, they're still gonna see that silhouette and that action, feel that action from farther away. So to me, when they came out with this redfish eye a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, I really like it. I like the size of the hook. I like that the hook is a little bit more robust. Now, will that create certain problems for you? You're not going to be using like a medium action rod. You're gonna want a medium heavy rod if you're throwing these redfish eyes. But to me, this time of year when I'm fishing for hardmouth redfish, some of you guys are gonna be fishing for a few flounder. I've got opportunities for some larger snook. The security of having that more robust, sharp hook with a little longer shank, keeping the fish off my leader and knowing that I'm throwing probably the cleanest jig that I can because I've got that 30-degree line time versus a 60 or a 90, and I'm not going to be fouled up on a lot of my casts. Hard to beat that, really is. So if you haven't had an opportunity yet to look at these, look at them. I know a lot of you want to throw those smaller baits and you like those little trout eyes because you think the shorter shank is going to give your baits a lot more action. They do if you're throwing those 3-inch baits or 3.5s or maybe 2-inch baits, 2.5-inch baits, 2.75. But if you're going to throw stuff that's 4-inch or longer, throw this. I'm telling you, you will not regret trying the redfish eye. Just a little product review for one of the partners that supports FlatsClass. If you do like what you see here, you're learning stuff, you enjoy the product reviews, all the fishing tips that we delve out here for free. This weekend we'll be launching our very first season 18 episode, which will go on to Waypoint TV, but 1 week later it will show up here on FlatsClass YouTube. If you want to see that stuff, why not subscribe to this channel? Give us a thumbs up, helps us trend. Hey, tell your friends about us. We are the inshore fishing authority when it comes to how-to, and we prove it every day. All right, that's all I got for you today. You guys get out there, keep those rods bent, and I'll keep them videos coming.